Okay. So today I fly back to the U.S. So it's my last day in Japan, or at least my last partial day. I don't really have time to do anything fun today. I have to get up and get to the airport pretty early because it's not letting me check in online, and I don't have a phone that I can call the airlines today. Something similar happened on my way out, but it wasn't a big deal because I could call. So now I'm gonna hop the bus and hope it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg for a bus to take me to the airport because I'm running out of cash. Overall, I think it's been a lot of fun. Hiroshima was probably the most, I don't want to say boring because it wasn't boring, but it had the least really to do. I think that if you really were pressed for time, you could do all the big sites in Hiroshima in one full day. If you got up early and you hopped the ferry to Miyajima Island and took pictures of the Torii Gate, and you took the rope concourse up the mountain instead of hiking, I'm fairly certain you could be done by, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and going through the museums and such that are out in Peace Park. They don't really take that long unless you want it to. So you can definitely see the museums and the little memorial thing that they have for, I think it's a remembrance of the people who died during the bombing. There's like a little building you can go in. And then the Peace Park and the Atomic Bomb Dome, all that stuff is right there in the same park, essentially. So really, the highlights of Hiroshima could be seen in one day. There's a castle here that I didn't go and see, not because they ran out of time, but because I really didn't want to go see it. I was told that it's not really an original castle. They rebuilt it pretty recently. It was destroyed in the bombing. And I like castles, but I sort of like the history that goes along with them. I like to see the old walls and the old timber and things like that that go along with an old castle. So it doesn't really appeal to me to go see such a recently made structure, I guess. Especially when I'm in Japan, and if I want to see really cool new things, I can, go to Tokyo, or even Kyoto has a lot of new, good, interesting looking architecture. So, yeah, if you wanted to see Himeji, not Himeji Castle, what is it called? I don't recall. But if you wanted to see the new castle, it might take you longer. I don't know. I didn't go. But I'm kind of happy to be heading home. I miss everyone, so it'll be good to get back. But my trip has been a lot of fun, and on the other hand, I'm sort of sad that it's ending right now. I keep running into Europeans and Australians, and they keep telling me about the minimum of 6 weeks of vacation a year they get. And I think of what I could do in Japan with 6 weeks instead of 11 or 12 days, and I think you get a much more comprehensive view of the place, because really all of my travels too were on the east coast of Japan, and more central and southern Japan, so there's a whole there's a whole other part of Japan that I'm not getting to experience just from lack of time, and, well, frankly, after being here, lack of resources. So when I do come back eventually one day, hopefully I won't be too old, I want to try to go up north to Hokkaido, and then the western coast. There's some really awesome sand dunes and desert areas on the west coast that'd be really cool. Plus, it seems like most of the onsens, the real onsens, are either in the middle of Japan, or the West Coast, and they're a several hour train ride from any of the cities I visited, either Tokyo, Kyoto, or Hiroshima. So they would have ended up being an entire trip just to go visit an onsen. And while I did want to go to an onsen while I was here, um, it was sort of one of those things where I had to weigh the opportunity costs of going to the onsen, again, staying and seeing more sights in whatever city I happened to be at. So the other option I had was to go to a sento, which is similar to an onsen, except typically it. Well, I should say it's not required, as far as I know, that their water in the sento come from an underground spring. Um, I think it can be tap water, essentially. And I think it would have been a good experience, but I don't know. I think part of me was more disappointed that I wasn't going to be able to find time to go to an onsen, so I didn't necessarily want to go to the sento. I probably should have. I considered it when I was in Tokyo, but again, I ran out of time when I was in Tokyo, and then when I was in Kyoto, I just didn't even consider going because um, I had such a huge list of places to go see and visit that I knew I wouldn't have time in Kyoto. As a matter of fact, when I planned my trip for Kyoto, I had originally planned to take a train over to Osaka for a day and spend a day sort of exploring Osaka, but um, there's just way, way, way too much to do in Kyoto, um, and I had too little time there really to do it. So um, I have someone I used to work with, Carrie Roberts, and she's been to Japan before, and she actually suggested Kyoto being the day that I did 4 nights, and I'm glad I took her advice on that because although I could have used 4 nights in Tokyo, Kyoto just on general touristy things, there's so many that I definitely needed the extra night in Kyoto um, to do to do some of the things I wanted to do. Um, yeah, I'm kind of sad to be leaving, but I don't know. I cannot wait to be in a familiar place where everyone understands me. Um, I think my Japanese has gotten worse since being in Japan. Um, Probably more because it's sort of a knock in the old confidence when you have so much trouble understanding what people are saying. And I think that, not to make excuses, but I really think a lot of it is the speed they talk at. So um, they're probably not as fast speaking as some people in the Hispanic culture, but they are really, really fast talkers. And so, yeah, I find myself not being able to understand even things that I probably should, because later on, sometimes I'll be on the bus or something after trying to talk to someone, and it'll kind of click what they said, and it won't be anything too necessarily too difficult, but it'll have been so fast that my brain just didn't even process before we all just kind of moved on to something else. So anyway, I'll probably, well, I know that this won't get posted until I get back to the U.S. So I will see everyone later. My vacation's about over.